welcome back to another episode of Connections and Conversations. I am so happy to have with me someone that you're all familiar with. She's been here before, but today we're here to kind of update you on some of the latest things that are going on, and that is Candidly Tip. How are you doing today, my friend?
I'm great, Miss D. Happy day. We're making it. It's a Friday, and we're speaking on a non-fired up Friday. So that's good.
Exactly, which takes me to the thing that I really wanted to let people know about. Since the last time Tiff and I did this one on one interview, I asked her to join me on a Substack Live. And we got such great feedback, we started to make it a regular thing. So every other Friday, we're on Substack Live, and it's called Fired Up Fridays. And tell me what you think about it. I'm just starting, I'm really loving it. And I think other people are too.
Yeah, and next week will be our 10th episode. Can you believe it? We've done 10 of these already. And we've actually had some special guests on too, which was Kenny, Two Worlds from Real, and Myron Clifton. So that was fun. Listen, I love it because 2 weeks, Lord knows, so much happens within those 2 weeks that when we get up, we really are fired up.
I know.
We are so fired up about what is happening in the world of politics and just in general. And we've been trying to incorporate last week, trying to do the positive things, right? Because there's so much negativity. So no, I truly enjoy talking to you and having those conversations. It's like a little vent session, but
Exactly.
we also have like an audience that we are building, and I think that's fun too because they're in the comments and they know when to join on Fridays and they kind of know what to expect from us. And so I think the best part of it is building community and giving people a space to be able to hear what's going on, the nuances of what is happening in the world of politics, and hear it from the perspective of two women, right? Black woman, Afro-Latino woman who live in two different parts of the country. So I live on the East Coast, Dee lives in the South, and so we are kind of bumping ideas against each other, and she's teaching me some history that I've never known, and I'm telling her stuff that's happening here. So I love that. I love that about the conversation.
I do too. I love the intergenerationality of it because I'm a boomer and you're with Gen X or
I am an They would call me a geriatric millennial or a
right because
zennial.
you're kind of on the cusp there. So
I am So I was born in 81. So like the cutoff for Gen X is 80, and I was born 3 months after that. So I'm really truly in that little weird space.
right. And I really am kind of in the same space as far as a boomer, because I'm toward the end there. But I think that's also what makes our conversation so unique because we are both politically engaged and it fits my mission, for advocacy arena of increasing engagement. And I think that it requires us to be able to speak to people from different demographics. And I think that the fact that you and I can have these conversations and relate and learn from one another is really important. And I feel like it gives people an example of things that they can do and conversations they can have in real life.
For sure. Yeah, no, in real life, we talk to people about politics, and it's not the way that we communicate necessarily on like a Twitter or even a Substack. We're writing stuff on Substack, but a conversation between two people is much different when you're speaking than when you're typing because you can only say but so much in typing. And so, but having the back and forth and the dialogue, I think is really important because, like I said, I'm learning from you, you're learning from me. We are from two different worlds, so to speak, and but we still have lots of similarities and lots of things that we have in common, but we also have differences too. And I think that is the most important thing to me is that when people listen to us talk, that they are going to walk away learning something, but they're also going to walk away feeling like we're not doomerism or sadness, that we are still keeping positive even through all of the trials and tribulations that we have going on, all the things that we're seeing, we're still keeping a positive attitude. And I think people really need that at this time. They need to feel that there is some kind of hope, even when it doesn't feel like that some days. But we are trying to provide that in not in a fake kind of way, but in a way that we are telling the truth, but also being realistic about what is actually happening and what we can do to to gain back what we have lost in the last couple of months.
Yes, and I think that we're both able to do that because that is just who we are authentically. Like both you and I are very civically engaged, and we want our country to be great. We want it to be able to live up to the promises, and we know that that really takes us, people on the ground. And so we both work to inform people in various different ways. Like you're a great content creator, a lot of videos and things that I don't do so much, but I think that it really is important because just like we learn in different ways, people get informed in different ways. They tune in to different voices, different mediums. And I love that you produce videos and you're on TikTok and IG, some of the platforms that I am not on. But I think it's important that we have people who are on those and are engaging. So tell me about a little bit about the other platforms that you're on, and then we're going to ease into another project that you're working on with some other content creators.
Yeah, well, I've been on Twitter. That's my largest platform. So everybody probably knows me from Twitter, Candidly Tip at TIFY330. So I've been on there for the longest time. But then that grew into TikTok. So that's usually where I go and make my videos, put it on all the other platforms, trying to build YouTube. I think that's important because we know during 2024, a lot of people were utilizing YouTube. They like podcasts, they listen to them. That's where they're getting their information from based on what we've seen. So trying to build there as well. And then of course I still have Blue Sky and Instagram, and that leads to Threads. And so all of these apps put together, I think the one app that I'm not on is Spoutable, which you're on. And I feel I just try to post. I don't really post too much on Blue Sky. I just post my videos there because I do have people that were on Twitter that are no longer there that I'm like, you know what, let me post it there for them so that they could be able to see it. So I think it's an important thing is to try to build everywhere so that nothing is left unseen. And some platforms I have smaller accounts, some have medium size, some bigger. But the goal is really to try to get people to see the videos that may not necessarily see them otherwise. And what I like to talk about is about civics, right? I like to be able to talk about the things that I find important, which are how do bills get made, what needs to happen. We have an upcoming fight on, a shutdown that's possible in the next couple of months. We have a spending bill that needs to be, or funding bill that needs to be passed. So these are the things that I focus on. I am truly a buff. I love anything that has to do with the Senate, the House, local government together. And so that's kind of my passion, but and also elections, right? We have 2026 coming up.
Right. And I think that's what I love, and that's where I feel like the different areas that we focus on, when we combine those areas of interest and expertise, we make a pretty dynamic duo because, like I said, you actually studied studied this in school, even though that's not the
Exactly.
work that you do, but you're obviously very passionate about it and very well informed, able to inform other people because we talk about this a lot that the education system currently does not provide civics training. So a lot of young people who get involved in politics really don't have an understanding of civics. And I do think that it really is important because it helps to let them know, it would let them know when things are possible and when they're not, or how, as you said, bills get passed. Because, you just can't go up there and scream and protest and hold up signs and say, we demand this bill, So,
Exactly.
like, there's a process, and it's important for people to understand the process. So I feel like those videos and things that you do to give people that civic understanding is critical. It's very important. And you do it in a way that is not like lecturing or whatever, and you relate it to stories and things that are going on, which I think makes it easier for people to take in and to remember. So I applaud you in that, and I know you're going to keep doing it. So I appreciate
Yeah,
that.
whether people like it or not, I'm still gonna do it. It's just something that it's because I feel like it. Like I always say, not even just young people, but a lot of people that are older, they just kind of forgot how the whole process works. I mean, think about it. Like my husband was in school 20, like 30 years ago. He was in high school. Like he doesn't
I'm the
remember
same.
everything.
I get reminded of things. I was like, oh, she's right.
Yeah, like people just forget about it. But this is like what I go to sleep, wake up thinking about like all these process things, I'm a process person, and so I just think people just don't really understand like the flow of how things work and how powerless truly the House and the Senate are when you're in the minority and there's only but so many checks and there's only but so many balances that are allowed when you have rules, right? And how do you get around those rules? And most people don't know the rules. I do. So I try to explain them, even though they're complicated.
Yes, like that Robert's Book of Rules. It was not one of the, I talked about the time that I worked for the mayor, and that was one of the first things he gave me. Everything else about that job I love, but that Robert's Books of Rules, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, government equals rules. And a lot of people don't want to play by the rules anymore. So how do you get around those rules? And they're trying to find ways. And so
And to
Democrats have
get
to try to
around
find
them,
those.
right, and to get around them, you have to know what they are. And so that's again where I come in is informing people. Like I love history. I'm a history nerd. That's kind of my thing, and I try to relate historical events to current events because all of these things are connected, and that is also an area, in our education system now that is lacking because we have all of these organizations and now the federal government who is determining, what can be taught and what can't. And so I lean into history because it's like, I don't care if you don't teach it. I don't care if you take it out of the books. I don't care if you take it out of the museums. Like, this is knowledge and you can't take it away. So I keep trying to pass that on to other people because, again, I know a bit of history of other countries and things too, like Germany. I spent a decade there. And I wish that we would take a lesson from them because they do teach their history, all of the awful parts, because that's how you learn. That's how you prevent yourself from recreating some of the horrible aspects of the
Exactly.
past. And I just have to believe that since you don't want people to know about some of these horrible aspects of our history, it's so that you can, you know, run those cards again, and people don't
Right.
recognize it, and it's,
That part. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You keep people ignorant, then they don't know the past and they can't connect the dots between the two.
yeah,
For
I'm
sure.
big on connecting the dots. And so, connecting the dots, we want to go to another project that you're working on that I absolutely love, and that's a collaboration with two other content creators, Too Raw, Too Real, and Zach. And I just love it, what you're doing, because I keep telling people we're in an information war, and it is really, really critical that we create these streams of information and nodes on the information infrastructure for people to be able to come to and know that they're going to get good information, up to date information, and oftentimes in a more authentic way because, again, they are trying to take away legacy media, putting controls on that so they aren't able to inform us. And then also, they're more into entertainment, so they're not even really trying to inform us. They stay focused on these sensational aspects of stories and events. And I love that you guys are really smart. You all have your unique voices and audiences. And like me, you dig into stories into the context of them that we're not going to get on mainstream media. It's okay. So tell me about this project with the you call yourselves the big three?
Yes, the big three. So I was not originally part of the big three, but then I kind of came in like maybe episode 5 or 6. And I adore Zach and Kenny. So we've known each other for a really long time. We have a great connection with one another. So it flows really easy. And so and I'm proud to be part of their group. And we just have real conversations every Wednesday at 10 p.m. We go on YouTube Live and we just talk about whatever is happening for that week. And so I enjoy that conversation because it is different from our conversation. Because of course, again, two males,
Yes.
they are both in the LGBTQ community. They have Zach is from the South. Kenny lives here, but he is from the South. And just a different vibe, but it works, right? It works. They have huge accounts, like they have way bigger accounts than I do. But I think for them, I kind of bring the softness to to the
You
show.
are, because I've watched it. I watched them from the beginning, and I do think that adding you has made it better. Because,
Well,
like you
thank
said,
you.
a little softness, but it's also these three different wonderful perspectives, and it's just like real, like three friends talking who are very well informed, and you draw people in. I love it. Like I said, I look forward to it. I'm looking, I'm going, are y'all having it this week? Are you having
I know. And we do have a good audience. You're one of the people that usually join on the regular. And we like to joke around, right? It's not a serious show. Like it is serious, but it's not. Like we have jokes, we laugh, we make fun of people. I mean, we do. And it's not people that we like. Obviously, there's so the people. And we have jokes on them, but it's funny. It's like a good banter back and forth. And we do serious things too. Like this week we actually interviewed Hakeem Jeffries, Leader Jeffries.
Yes. And
And
that
so
was absolutely beautiful. I just want to applaud you guys, and I am
thank
looking
you.
for big things from you. And I think I would love for you to tell me a little bit about that, how you felt about it, and then I would like to give you some of my feedback after watching.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it was kind of spur of the moment on Tuesday. Zach was like, "Hey, do you want to guys want to do an interview with Leader Jeffries?" And I was like, yeah, why not? Like, of course. Like,
Of
what do I say?
course.
No." So we scheduled it, and of course, in Tiffany fashion, I was gonna come prepared because that's what I do. So I already knew what I want. As soon as he said it, I already knew what I was gonna ask because I had talked about this even on I think on our show on Friday and even on the week before in on Wednesday's show about the possibility of a shutdown. So that was my question. I was like, I need to know of what he's doing because that really bothered me the first go round in March that we were not prepared for that. And so I'm like, okay, I got him. I'm gonna ask this question. And that was kind of my thing that I wanted to ask him. But I thought overall he was more comfortable than usual. He is usually pretty kind of like cookie cutter. What is the way they
Ultra
say like
professional. Like,
ultra professional, respectability politics, all of that, and you're on TV and people are asking you gotcha questions, right? So that's where most people see him. And so I was happy he came with his little hat on, his shirt. He wasn't in professional Hakeem mode. He was himself and he was ready to talk. And he was happy to be there, which is always a good thing when your guest is happy to be there and able to talk to you. So it was really good. He hadn't met Zach and Kenny before, so I'm sure that helped. He didn't know me. I've never spoken to him. So it was kind of like I wasn't really sure what to expect, sometimes. And they also were there on recess, so they're not in the house. So it's a little different vibe where I guess he was, probably in his office, but it wasn't so much
relaxed.
commotion and things happening where you're running and everything. So we had him for a good half an hour to just ask what we wanted to ask. That we could ask whatever we wanted. There was no controls around it. And we asked about the things that were most important, redistricting, which is a big deal happening now. And then we also asked about the potential shutdown and just messaging period for 2026. Like, what are we messaging on? How do we move forward? And I thought he gave some long-winded but good answers. You know, some people can't help themselves. He likes to talk. I can tell he likes to talk.
We can
So
relate.
yeah, we can relate. So he wanted to give thorough answers, and I don't think that the media ever really allows him to give thorough answers. So it's kind of a gift and a curse because you want the person to give you like the full-throated answer, but then of course you want to get all your questions in too. So it was kind of a little bit of both, but I appreciated the time that he took to be able to speak to us because I thought that the questions that we asked were really good, and he answered them in the best way he could. And he was himself. He got a little fired up at some point, and I was like, oh, that's Brooklyn Hakeem. That's my guy. And so that made me feel good. That made me feel like, okay, he was comfortable enough to talk.
Well, I would agree with all those things that you said, and that was one of the things that I noticed right away. He came in comfortable attire, so he was very relatable. And the way that he spoke to you guys and responded, I could tell he was at ease. And he gave really I think thoughtful answers, and it really I felt gave him an opportunity to show how much he cares, what they're working on. And it, like I said, I feel like, as you said, when they're on these legacy media shows or whatever, they know the gotcha question is coming. And it's like, how do I parse this? And so I felt like he didn't have to worry about any of that. And I do feel like he was energized by you guys. And so what I'm hoping is that, because he knew that you were informed and engaged and that you were in his corner. So I am hoping that more of them are able to see that and will come and talk to some of us, like we independent, reporters that, are not your traditional mainstream type of shows and outlets, because I do think it will give them a better opportunity to connect to people in an authentic way, like the podcast that Jamie Harrison is doing. Like, he
Love.
is interviewing these people, and we get to see them in a way with depth and context.
That's it. Right, right. That's what I like. I like interviews where you can actually see the personality of the person. You can see kind of the thoughts that are in their head that they don't necessarily get to say because there's so many restrictions and they feel like if they say the wrong thing that somebody's gonna come after them or all of these things that Democrats have to kind of in their brains
The
they when they're
minefield.
speaking yeah it's like a lot and so I feel like that helps to be able to make the person feel comfortable to talk and I think overall it was a really good interview. We hope to do another one hopefully after we go through this government shutdown craziness if that ever happens. Hopefully we can pass a bill, but I hope that we would be able to speak to him again because we have a long road ahead of us going into 2026 and we have races that we need to win, and none of them are congressional races. I mean, the congressional races that are special elections, we know we're going to win, and we will have a full House by November, fully. Fingers crossed. It's 18, and that special election is in November to fill the seat that was once Representative Sheila Jackson Lee's, and then it moved to Sylvester Turner, who passed away in February. So rest in peace to both of them. And so we have somebody that's going to fill that seat, and it's going to be a younger person. I know they were doing a town hall last night for that. So we will be at full strength, which is 215, finally by November. And that will give us a better chance to stop some of the things that these Republicans are trying to do. So we want the House to be at full strength, even if it's not a majority, that still alleviates some of the pains of when Republicans are not for some of these bills, they have to come up with the votes. So from a civics perspective, I want everybody there. I know Leader Jeffries wants everybody there. And we have a better chance of killing some of these bills if we're at full force. And then we can go on to 2025, 2026 with a positive outlook because people, I do believe, and I know you hear it too, there's a lot of people that are very negative on Leader Jeffries, and I have my criticisms. We all have our criticisms of him. one of the main criticism is his communication, right? We want him to be more authentic. We want him to be more real. We want to see a fired up Hakeem Jeffries. We don't want to see, the professional Hakeem Jeffries. We know what you are professionally. We know you can hold down your caucus, but we need you to fight fire with fire. And that's what we were trying to convey to him. Even Kenny said he would be his anger translator.
Exactly. And I love that because we understand the constraints that he has, but there is a way for him to express it, like
Think
through
so?
these content creators and coming into spaces and places where he can have more authentic, elongated kind of conversations. So I do hope he comes back, and I am looking forward to you guys, tapping into some other, important leaders and figures and trying to bring them in because I think in this information war, it is critical that we establish ourselves as sources of information. And I mean, we are small, but we are mighty. And so
That's
to
right. And
be,
if all of us collectively do them, then we will build a network of sources to for people to come to. So when they do want news or they want to just have somebody, like you said, anger translators, sometimes we are that for other people, right? We
right?
are we are channeling that energy, whether it's positive or just venting. We are still channeling that energy that a lot of people have, but don't have the platforms or don't want to get on a camera and talk to people. I know at some point I didn't want to talk on camera. I just wasn't comfortable doing it. And then at one point, I think it was, I want to say 2021, I think it was the Chantel Brown and Nina Turner race. I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna be scared of the camera anymore. I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna talk, and all the stuff that I'm writing, I can be able to express it in front of a camera, and that's how I started doing TikToks. So, and even so, it's still 3, 4 years later. It's still kind of like, okay, I have to watch what I say sometimes because my dad always yells at me because I'm always cursing. But so I don't even invite him to my Wednesday show because I'm always cursing on that one. I invite him to ours. So there, you have different audiences and different people. Everybody likes something different. That's kind of where we are. So I really do love. I'm not a podcast person. Even though I do podcasts, I'm not a podcast person. But even myself, I found myself watching more. So like this week, I watched the Jamie Harrison and Gavin Newsom one. So good, loved it because a lot of people do not understand how the DNC works. And I thought he gave a wonderful breakdown of how that works. And, you and I, we typically watch Jamie's and we talk about it on our Friday show. And it's really important information to get to know these people because we don't know them from a personal level. We just know them from a political standpoint. And as we move into 2028, I want to be able to know these people to make a sound decision to be like, yeah, I don't like that person, or I do like that person, or I know your faults and I know your positives and I know your negatives, and I can make a sound decision on who I want from my candidate.
Exactly. And that's what we're looking for, information to be able to base decisions on, who we want to represent us because, it is a democratic republic. And so we, the people, get to decide, but we need information to be able to make, I feel like, well informed decisions that are going to help us get the quality of life that we want in our communities. So, as always, time has flown. I really do love that we had an opportunity to come back and do this on my podcast. And I love what we're building on Fired Up Friday. So, we're just working in lots of venues. And as you said, it's so important. And I think it's important for us to start that work, start building that audience and these projects and things now. Because we know when we get into the election season, it will be crazy. And I feel like if we're already established, we can be a source of, good information and kind of calmness in the storm of it all for people because people
Amen.
are confused and they're looking for places and people to get that information from. And I feel like even though we're small, the community that we're building trusts us to
Exactly.
deliver.
That's the main thing is trust because people know that we're going to be honest about our feelings. They know that we're going to tell them accurate information on what we have read ourselves we're not making this up. This is not our this some a lot of it is feelings, but also it's about facts too. Like we want to be able to bring facts. A lot of people don't read the newspaper. I read it every day and I
We're
know what's
news
going
junkies.
on. We are definitely news junkies, but I think you and I both are not like cable news junkies. We are more so, hey, let's read, let's look at the local news, let's see what people are saying and kind of find out what's happening in our own communities. And I think that's really important. I wish more people would do that because if you watch the news, your local news is totally different than what's being spewed on cable news. I mean, it's not like night and day. Sometimes they have similar stories, but then you have to objectively be able to listen to the information and then think about what it is that you're listening or reading and then take that information and then figure out how you get that conveyed to other people. So I do think it's really important that people do read, especially news, and not so much the cable news because it's not good for your health. It's really not.
It isn't. And I have a lot of different sources that I get my news from, and NPR and PBS are really kind of two of my favorites because it's just like old fashioned vanilla plain news. Like they're just, I don't get all the opinions and all of those things. And they really, each of them have local outlets so that they focus on the local stories and things too. So I think that's important. And I think the work that you're doing, that we're doing together, is important. And as we kind of wrap up here, I'd just like to give you, as always, an opportunity for some closing thoughts or words.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate all you do, Ms. D, between Advocacy Arena and this platform, and then as well as our Fighter Friday and Substack, all the beautiful things that you write. Again, you teach me so much about, history and what we have comparison to what we have going on now. And a lot of people need to start connecting those dots because we start to see kind of the repeated cycle of what has happened in the past. So I absolutely adore you. And I'm so glad that we can connect every other Friday. So make sure you tune in to Fire Fridays on Substack. And if you missed it, we both put it on our YouTube on Friday afternoon. So you can watch it there too. So either way, it works for us. We just want you guys to be able to see what we're talking about and hopefully get something out of the time that we spent together for that hour.
I agree. Thank you so much. And again, right back at you, my dear. Adore you. Love being able to talk to you in the various different ways that we connect. And I do believe that we have something beautiful and we are trying to share it. So thanks for
Amen.
coming.